The Mobile County Public Schools presents Homeroom.
Hi, and welcome to Homeroom, where we introduce you to the educators and the students who make Mobile County Public Schools the best schools in the state of Alabama. I'm your host, Renee Phillips, and today we're going to talk about some of the supports that we offer to our students. As we know, ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, we are having a mental health crisis throughout our country and in Mobile, Alabama, and in our schools. We have students who are struggling and families that are, and we are trying to provide the support that they need so they can be successful academically and in the world. And so joining me right now, I have Dr. Monica Motley and Dr. Kim Walker, and they oversee our counseling program. That's a big job.
Yes, it is. It surely is.
And one thing I know from talking to you guys, when people think of school counselors, they think about the ones that we had back in the day, and it's a different job.
It is. It's a big difference between our guidance counselors that we had before and actual school counseling, being professional school counselors. And so our school counselors, they're really uniquely positioned in the school. They're more so like that kind of boots on the ground, that first line of support for our students. And so their goal is they definitely want students to achieve academically. But we do know that sometimes there are barriers to student achievement. And so our school counselors work to help to eliminate those barriers so that our students can achieve. So barriers can be anything from maybe just not even having access or having the knowledge about something. Or a barrier could be even maybe personal issues that are going on at home. So our school counselors are there to help and support our students.
So they're still helping the kids get on track academically,
Yes.
but it goes beyond the schedule.
Correct.
Yes.
Right,
Correct.
Dr. Walker?
Yes, it does. We also serve as a support and resource for parents as well as kids. We do want to keep our parents engaged and aware of all of the programs and services that we offer for their students, and we want to keep them abreast of how they can work with their kids at home.
Because if a student has any type of issue, they should feel comfortable coming to their counselor.
Yes, and our school counselors are there for all the students, and they're not just working with one particular group. They're there for all students. They're teaching them. They're teaching our parents too as well, things to help them to be successful. And just as an example of something of kind of taking that deeper dive of being that support for the students and the parent, we think about, for example, our personal safety intervention protocol, because we know that mental health issues have increased, particularly since COVID. And so what we have done is we really want to be a resource for our students and our parents, because we know that when they get that call that their child maybe has had some type of suicidal ideation or self-harming behavior, there are a range of emotions that the students are going through, that the parents are going through. So we want it to be that resource. It's not just a come pick up your child. We are providing them resources. So for example, the first thing our school counselors, what they'll do is they listen to the student to find out exactly what's going on, what happened, how did they express it, and so that they'll know and be able to share with the parent too the concern. And then once the parent is contacted, then we provide information for the parents.
Because Dr. Walker, that's what you were talking about earlier, because I'm a parent, we're parents. If you get that call from a counselor, I don't know what to do, right? And is that what you encounter? Like you try to help them to know how to help their child?
Yes, because it's natural for the parent to panic. And so the first thing that we let the parent know when we call is that the child is fine, the child is unharmed, the child is in our care and in our sight, and the child remains in our sight until the parent arrives. And when the parent comes for the conference, we talk about some things and share resources that can help the parent recognize signs, of their child having anxiety or having depression or having these ideations. We also provide resources to let them know where they can take their child to be screened or to receive help, or numbers they can call for support. We also give them resources to let them know what makes your child happy, what makes your child feel sad, how to recognize and work with the child and work through any issues they may be having, whether they're at school or at home.
And that's absolutely fantastic that we do that, because you're seeing these thoughts of self-harm, and you're seeing more depression, anxiety, right?
Yes. We've referred to it, and to make it just kind of really simple and easy for anyone to understand, refer to it as like your emotional cup. And so giving them ideas about ways that you can help your child fill up their cup emotionally, and what are some things that actually empty that cup, some things that they can do. But we also, our school counselors work with our students. They do an intervention plan to really teach the students coping skills and strategies. And we do it at different levels. So we'll have one that's more geared towards K through 2 students, students in the kindergarten through 2nd grade, and one more for 3rd graders through 5th graders, and then more for our secondary students. And so the students are able to, based upon the developmental level of the student, they may draw out because it may be hard for them to express themselves verbally, but kind of draw out what are those things that kind of make you sad or give you stress? What are those things that make you feel good? And then what are those trusted people that you have at home that can support you, or the trusted people even at school? And we provide for them a list of resources too, and the student keeps that. So that way they have that resource with them, even if it's on the weekend, after school, they have that resource to know if they're in need of what they can go back to, what they discussed.
I want to do that because we all need that. I think we're in such a fast-paced world. We need to keep our cup full of some of the good things, the relaxing things, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for everything that you guys do for our students. I know that they're benefiting from that. And just the final word is come see your counselor. We're not just doing your schedule, right? Like come see us and we will help you through it, and your parents through it too.
Yes, we're here for them.
All right. Well, we have to break for commercial, and when we come back, we're going to talk to some representatives of our student support services about ways that we're helping our kids. So stay tuned for Homeroom.
There's a lot to like about Mobile County Public Schools.
What I enjoy about Mobile County School is the extra attention my teachers give us to help us learn.
Teachers are liking their access to technology, and students are liking the quality of their education.
I like the technology that's been incorporated into my education.
And since 1826, you have trusted us to prepare your child for their future, and we like that. Mobile County Public Schools. We are learning today, leading tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome back to Homeroom. Today we're talking about some of the ways that Mobile County Public Schools supports our students and their health and their mental health. So joining me now, I have Terrence Mixon, who's Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, and Denise Reamer, who is our lead social worker and our Coordinator of Mental Health Services. Very big title, very big job. Right. So, Mr. Mixon, tell us. So, I know one thing that I like about what you guys do. Your slogan is that you're removing all the barriers so that students can be successful. Yes. So, what are those barriers? What do you do?
Well, we do it all. Whatever the need is for any student in the school system to help them to be more successful academically, as well as socially. We try to get in there and remove those barriers, regardless of what they are, over the weekends, after hours. I mean, we're literally on call 24/7 to do what we can for all of our students and try to meet them where they are so that they can be successful in school.
And it's everything from physically getting them to school in the mornings through transportation to its discipline, attendance. What else do you do?
Well, yes, ma'am. In our division of Student Support Services, we do a lot. We're in charge of discipline to help those students that may have behavioral challenges. We have student records. For anyone who's ever gone to a Mobile County Public School, we should have your transcript and can produce transcripts, duplicate diplomas, and for whatever reason you may need them to go for a job or just whatever, to go back to school.
We get one call for that every day in our office, and we send it straight to you guys. I need my transcript.
Correct. And then we have online registration, which is getting to be very soon. Everyone will get a telephone call from me reminding them of our registration.
Because you are the voice.
Well, I appreciate
that. Calls
that.
everybody and says, make sure you register. And as a mom, I'm guilty of not registering as soon as I should.
Well, we hope you have a better year this year.
I love it.
Yes, ma'am. We have health services. We take care of all of the student needs. We also have employee health nurses in our building as well. We have social services that is led by Mrs. Reamer sitting here, and we also handle attendance to try to help those students that are chronic absenteeism, and of course transportation. We have well over 500 buses in our fleet, and we get students back and forth to school every day.
Every day, and that's so important.
Yes, ma'am.
And Denise, within that division, you're helping students with their mental health, and that's a big job.
It is. We have a team of, including me, 15 licensed master's level social workers who are really that connection between homeschool and community. And what that means is we're trying to make sure that the parents know what resources are out there for their children. We're also trying to make sure they can interact with us as a school system and make sure that their child is getting everything that they need at school and in our community. So we have a lot of partnerships with agencies, and I think you're going to talk to a few of those, our mental health partners later, who offer services not only in our community but in our schools. And that's very important because it decreases the loss of instruction time and allows access to mental health services in our school system, which is so very important, as you said earlier, since the return of our students from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Because parents and families don't know what's all available. So, and you're connecting them to these mental health services as well as just some of their basic needs, right? If they need food, if they need a uniform, and all that's so important to their success in the classroom.
Right, we do serve our at-risk and our homeless students with uniforms, referrals to emergency food pantries, things like that. We also have this great partnership with Feeding the Gulf Coast now, where we have food pantries in our schools to help our students and our families who are struggling.
And I've noticed there's a trend too where a lot of schools are doing like the toiletries, closets, and stuff like that because students need that.
They do. And we've had some great donations of socks and shoes and hygiene items so that we can make sure that our students have everything they need. And I think our nurses will probably talk about that hygiene grant where we have now those feminine products also available to our students.
Because that's another barrier, right? Like
Sure.
there's economic barriers,
Sure.
and we need to help them with that.
Well, and our schools really do a phenomenal job. I mean, any parent in any of our schools who need that kind of help, all they need to do is reach out to their principals or their counselors. I saw you had the counselors on a little earlier. They can reach out to them. And through those people, they will contact us. And whatever that need is, we would try to fill it. And as Mrs. Reamer has just said, at least connect them to the agencies that can provide that kind of support to them.
Right, because you have a great team, and we've been able, with the COVID funding at least, to expand upon that team.
We've been able to double our staff in the social services department, and we're really excited about that because that just provides more connections for more students and families. And so, they can always reach out to us. We work very closely with our counselors in the schools and our administrators. So we have that safety team at every school so that students and families can reach out.
And that's something, even though we've expanded, there's still so many needs. Like we could add 2 times as many and still have needs, right?
Well, we would love to see a social worker in every school, just like we have counselors in every school. And so Mr. Mixon has been a huge advocate, and certainly Mr. Threadgill as well, for increasing those services to students and families.
Mm-hmm. So we'd like to, if there's any legislators watching, keep that going, right? Because our students need it for their success.
Absolutely.
And so you guys work on the basic needs of students, the mental health of students, and coming up, another area that you supervise, we're going to have some of our school nurses. So that's an important part of your department as well.
Oh, indeed, indeed. If they need to be well, to be at school. Mm-hmm. And our nurses and our lead nurses, we'll go into details, I'm sure, but they are the healthcare professional of the building. Mm-hmm. And whatever the need is, their whole goal is to be able to keep them in school. Mm-hmm. And if they can't come, make sure that no services are interrupted, no instruction is interrupted. And the nurses play a vital role in that.
They do. So we're going to hear from them in just a moment. We have to break for commercial, but thank you for everything that you're doing to support our students in student support services. You do exactly what your name says. We'll break for commercial, and so stay tuned for Homeroom.
As a student in the Mobile County Public Schools, there are a few things I've come to expect. One is a quality education, and the other is a quality lunch. Not only are our school meals well balanced, meeting all federal nutritional standards, but they also have less fat, fewer calories, and they taste really good. Oh, and I forgot to mention, our school lunches contain whole wheat, grains, fruits, and vegetables to give me the energy and brain power to get me through the day.
Hi, and welcome back to Homeroom. Today we're learning about some of the many ways that Mobile County Public Schools supports our students for their mental health and their health so they can be successful in the classroom and beyond. So joining me now, we have our lead nurses, the Smiths, Pamela Smith and Barbara Smith, not related, but I know you get that all the time, the Smiths,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you have a very important job in keeping our kids healthy.
Yes.
And so tell us, what exactly does a school nurse do?
Well, a school nurse has a variety of roles. They are actually the health professional in the facilities at the schools, and they are there for the resource. They give medications, they do a lot of special treatments, they monitor students' symptoms if they have colds, fever. They actually do a lot of special treatments like trach care, G-tube feedings. They monitor all our AEDs that we have in our schools. They also work well with the staff that's there. If there's a staff member that comes in and wants their blood pressure checked or something like that, then they talk to them about that and they'll check their blood pressures. And they also do a lot of patient education for the staff in the schools. They actually also make sure that our students are healthy. The biggest thing is this is an academic facility, and we want our students to be healthy. We want them to be well, we want them to be healthy so they can come to school and learn. Our main goal is learning, but we also want them to be well when they come to school. So they are a big resource. The first person that child sees when they're sick is actually most of the time the nurse, because they go straight sometimes from the bus or from their parents' cars at times.
And now I'm sick. Yeah. I know when my phone rings and it's the nurse at my child's school, I answer it, right?
Yes.
Like that's an important call. And
Very
they're like,
important.
your child is in my office, I'm monitoring them, they have a headache or whatever it is, and usually it's a come get them. But our health needs are expanding, it seems like. It seems like we have more students who need these services. I know you help students who have diabetes and other ailments so that they can just get through the school day, right? And
Right. Our goal is to make sure that the students are physically, mentally, and socially well so that we can keep them in school. So that requires us collaborating with the other departments such as social services, the counselors, and mental health and different things. But a lot of the students comes to the nurse first, and even with behavior, they'll come to us and talk to us. So we educate and refer them out to different resources, and we do have a lot of medically fragile students that we have to take care of. As Ms. Pam Smith stated, you know, trach, vents, students that need one-on-one care as early age as 3-year-olds, you know, so it's a vast variety. So we try to educate and make sure that parents are aware of the resources that we have so that we can keep the students in school. And like the chronic ailment thing, that is a tool that is put in place so that students can, the attendance, you know, so all those different departments falls in under student support services. So we have chronic ailment, but it's to keep the children in school. If they're absent, it's a tool for them to make sure that they're getting their studies. As stated, we don't want to interrupt their education. So the goal is to keep them healthy and in school. And if they're not healthy, making sure they're still being educated.
because students are going to get sick. They're
Right.
going to catch a cold.
Yes.
I know some things, particularly this winter, we had RSV and some COVID cases and that sort of
Yes.
thing. So it runs the gamut from those types of illnesses where you can go home and get better over the next couple of days, but then sometimes they might have a surgery or something else, right? And so they need to work with you guys too to make sure their absences are coded correctly and that they get get the doctor's notes and all
Yeah.
that.
Right. And set IEPs and 504 plans. You know, as you stated, if they have a surgery, then we can put something in place, 504, for temporary needs of the student to make sure their needs are met and they're receiving their education as well.
And one thing, I know we're stressing the attendance and that they need to come to school so that they can learn, but also if you're sick, stay home.
Yes, by all means, things. Especially if you have a fever, you're nauseated and throwing up, stuff like that, or you're completely congested. And we want our students healthy because so they can learn. Because when you're sick, you don't feel well.
Yeah.
All you want to do is get you some rest. But when they're sick, they do need to stay home. But you need to notify the school, and they do need to go to the doctor and get a doctor's note if they're sick, because that way that would excuse them from that day. But it's our overall goal to keep them in school if we can, and to help give them the resources they need, the education they need, as well as their parents, and to increase our attendance and increase them academically.
Right. And to prevent them from getting other children sick as well.
Of course.
Because I know in a neighboring county, they had to shut down an entire school for a couple of days because it can, when there's a virus going around or something, that can have an impact. And so I think, too, one thing that parents need to know is that there are the parent notes that they can send in, but then they have the unlimited doctor notes. So just make sure when they're sick, as you said, Pamela, go to the doctor, get the note, get it documented, and then get well, and then come back to school.
Yes.
And we'll help you get with the makeup work. So thank you for it. You're doing, one thing I'm very proud of is the fact that we've been able to expand the number of nurses that we have, so needed. And I hope that we can continue that funding as the COVID funds run out, so that we can, it's so important to have at least one nurse in every school. So thank you for what you do to help keep our kids healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have to go to commercial, and when we come back, we're going to hear from some of our partners who are helping keep our kids healthy mentally. So stay tuned for Homeroom.
What's the matter, baby? You're not feeling good?
School-aged children are at a higher risk of getting and spreading germs and viruses. To help protect the spread, students are encouraged to stay home when sick. Parents, it's important for your child to remain at home at least 24 hours after they no longer have a fever of 100 degrees or higher without the use of medications. Please help us maintain a healthy learning environment.
When parents are involved in school, they get more of this and less of this.
Hi, and welcome back to Homeroom. Today we're talking about some of the supports that we provide for our students mentally and physically so that they can do their very best in the classroom. And we couldn't do it without our partners. So joining me today is Rebecca Blaylock from Alta Point and Christina Morris from The Bridge. You guys are fantastic partners with us, and you're in our schools helping our children every day. So first, Rebecca, tell us what Alta Point does.
So we are very grateful to have the collaboration with Mobile County Public Schools. We are able to place therapists. We're in almost 70 of the schools in the county. We're able to place therapists in the schools to provide mental health services. You know, there's so many barriers that can come up to where children and families aren't able to get the mental health services that they need. And so we are able to be on site, have a therapist in the schools, and we work very closely. We have monthly meetings with the school system just to keep our collaboration, address any concerns and stuff, and just go in those schools to provide those therapy services. We can do individual, family sessions, all kind of things like that. Provide support to the staff, collaborate, just try to work with the school and, be there to provide them those services that, some of the barriers that may come up, like transportation. We want to make sure that we're there to remove those things so we can provide those mental health services.
And it's so important that you're in the schools because sometimes mom or dad can't get to the school to check the child out to get to an appointment, but you've kind of removed that barrier by being there.
Yes, that's one of the biggest barriers. And also we are able to go there in the schools, and it helps kids not miss as much school too, because if you go out for an appointment, you might miss a half a day of school. And so it allows us to be able to pull them so they're not missing as much school as well. But yeah, that barrier of transportation is a big one, and we're able to give them more accessibility to those services to where they they might not would get it because of transportation and different barriers. So we're very grateful to be able to be in there.
Right. And so Christina, you focus on some of these same issues as well as drug and substance abuse. So how important is that in our schools?
It is very important, and we collaborate with Alta Point a lot because we do see that a lot of times some of our mental health concerns can also roll over into substance abuse and vice versa. So we work with students across the county, middle school and high school, ages 12 to 18, and we help them to identify what are their barriers, what are your strengths. Is substance use a problem that's hindering them from meeting their life goals? Are they using substances as a coping skill? So we work with them at the schools. We usually meet our kids every 1 to 2 weeks, and we never provide any, or excuse me, we never charge anything for our kids to participate in services.
Right. And so what types of substances? Is it substance abuse by children, by their families, all of that?
Yes, all of that. We have different levels of programs. We have our early intervention program. So those who maybe they're starting to experiment with substances, maybe they're starting to vape, peer influence, things going on at home with families who may have substance use problems, or even possibly have a family member who's in recovery. Those would be a good candidate for our early intervention program. Our outpatient program is for those who do have a substance abuse diagnosis, and we work with them one-on-one and identify what substances they're working or they're using. How can we help them? If we do identify that they need a higher level of care, we have residential treatment programs as well. We work with them at the school. We can work with them in the community, and with summer coming up, we are still available to see them at their home via telehealth or in the community.
And we hear about vaping. That's a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
I think that more and more teenagers and adults are vaping, as well as fentanyl. So those are some of the things that you're dealing with, right?
Absolutely. We see across the state of Alabama, 17.5% of high school students are vaping.
Wow.
And have vaped in the last 30 days. So it is a growing trend, and I think that really the media has talked about how they've made this very glamorous, and it's not. It's highly addictive. It's not a safer alternative. And for teens whose brains are still developing, are still very susceptible to addiction, vaping is the start of what could be lifelong problems with addiction.
So if a parent knows that there are suspects that their child has a problem, they can get in touch with you through the school.
Absolutely.
To work through it.
Absolutely.
And you'll help them figure out how to deal with it. Because I know as a parent, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yes. So I have a saying that I'm sure everyone has heard. It takes a village to raise children, but I believe that your village should have a few professionals in it. So as a parent, if you don't know what to do, you don't know what is next, reach out.
Right.
You can reach out to us. You can contact the schools, the social workers, and the counselors. They know who we are because we are in the schools, but anyone can refer to us. A child can self-refer, but we encourage parents to be involved with their kids and ask questions, ask those open-ended questions too.
What are you and your friends doing?
Yes, what's going on? Where are you going? Be a little nosy, and when you hear the answers that maybe you don't like that your child is vaping and you have that panic, listen to understand.
Yeah. And same with their mental health. Wouldn't you say, like, just be in tune with your kids, talk to them?
100%. I think that definitely just being supportive of them, letting them know it's okay to talk about these things, removing that stigma, because there's a lot of stigma around mental health often.
Yeah.
And so just providing support to them and talking to them. Don't just throw them in front of a tablet or something else. Really sit down and listen to your kids and check in with them, see how they're doing. Because, we all have our struggles and things like that, but it's just important to check in with your kids. And like I said, we're just very grateful to be able to, provide these services and bring about awareness to mental health in the school systems and with these families.
And remove that stigma. I think we cannot say that enough times.
Yes.
It is nothing bad. It is something we need to work together to help our kids and our parents. So thank you for what you ladies are doing, and for the Alta Point and the Bridge and all of our partners in Mobile County Public Schools, because we all really have the same goal. We want our kids healthy. We want our kids to be successful, and we're so glad to have you as partners in that endeavor. So thank you so much for joining us. Now remember, if you have a child in Mobile County Public Schools, feel free to reach out to your school if you have any issues mentally, physically, with substance abuse, or even with finding food and shelters, because we want to help all of our children. So that's all the time we have. We'll catch you next time on Homeroom.